VenomousStare back with Game 2 of Innovation vs. Reynor. My personal favorite matchup, Terran vs. Zerg. This is a perfect example of why I love the matchup, as we see a proxy SCV moving out here for Innovation. Innovation up here in the top right, widely considered to be one of the best Korean macro Terrans ever. GSL winner, super talented guy. And we can see with multiple SCVs moving out, it's definitely a proxy play. Facing off against Reynor, the Italian Zerg who recently qualified for GSL, did pretty well last season. 2-Rax is a very powerful, common rush. Terran players are not afraid to break this one out, and we can see here that Reynor has actually gone for pool first. So if you're a noob, or you maybe play Protoss, and you're not that familiar with this matchup, the 2-Rax, or the Proxy 2 Barracks Bunker Rush, works as follows. Terran player, 1 depot proxies 2 barracks, then these 2 SCVs are going to monkey around and try to build a bunker. Now what the Terran player is hoping for is that the Zerg player goes for the standard hatchery first play. That means they can get a bunker up and they can get Marines attacking the hatch before the pool is finished. Now this pool first opener, it's actually worse economically, but it's way safer. And with 6 lings on the way, there's no way this does damage. Wow, Reynor narrowly misses it. So this is part of the luck of StarCraft, is even though he barely missed viewing the proxy, he's going to get the build order advantage. So Inno is sort of like, okay, there's not supposed to be lings out. Inno's probably going to try to like hide in like minerals right here or something. I haven't seen these games. I'm watching all these games for the first time. So all Reynor has to do is keep pumping lings here and he's fine. Bunker's going to go down here for Inno. And Reynor's going to fight. He'll pick off an SCV, which is nice, because now if he can pick this one off, the bunker won't finish. The hatch finishes, a queen comes down. Reynor should be able to defend this. His spine is about 70% done. Queen moving up, focuses the SCV. The SCV is going to go back to building the queen. It's being pressured. Now the lings, nice. They protect the queen long enough to snipe the SCV. Without the threat of a bunker here, this rush is pretty much petered out. It looks like Reynor is going to go for the surround. Notice that Reynor does not have Zergling speed. And the SCV is actually going to come up and try to kill the bunker. Reynor really wasn't expecting that many units as well as another SCV. And suddenly, he's not in a very good position because the bunker goes down and it's repairing. See, that's annoying because now he's lost a queen. I mean, it's just bad. Did he cancel the spine? Am I retarded? So Reynor is in a bad spot. He looked like he had the rush held, but a lot of times with 2-Rax, it looks like you're going to be able to hold, and then the bunker finishes and you're really screwed. SCV repairing, lings coming forward, lots more lings hatching, a couple drones even fighting. Notice he's chasing off the Marine and trying to do damage to the bunker. The bunker is very low, but it's being salvaged. It does die. And Reynor does finally clean up the 2-Rax. The fact that Innovation was able to continue to delay Reynor after that initial swell of lings is a big deal. If Reynor, when he ran out and lost all those units, had he cleared the push then and walked across the map, it would have been way more annoying for Inno. But as it stands, 2 Hellions are already out. The Rax are flying back. Ling speed's on the way. Double mines are the choice now. Starport's coming. CC halfway done. Hellions are going to run across the map and say, well, I know you probably delayed your Ling speed, so here I am. And he's going to try to run in, and Reynor does a decent job, and he blocks off the ramp. Well done. Hellions behind the mineral line. You shouldn't get any drone kills. Not with 2 queens. Inno showcasing some pretty great micro. Both players showcasing great micro. The thing about Hellion micro that you have to consider is that if the Terran player is good, a lot of times the Zerg player can have perfect micro, and if the Terran player is talented, they simply just won't lose the Hellions. And that's sort of what we saw there. Innovation Didn't lose the Hellions even though Reynor was doing everything right and knew where he was going and had 2 queens. Like, Innovation ran them all the way in the base behind the mineral line into 2 queens and links and only lost 1 Hellion. Orbital starting up here for Eno. Both players are at 29 workers. 14 lings on the way here for Reynor. And with a 3rd base up, I consider this pretty odd because he doesn't have a Baneling nest. He knows Hellions are being made. And Zerg players, if you're new to the game, the reason Zergs don't just do big ling attacks every single game, as we see Mines kill a Ovi there, is because of Hellions. The Hellion opener, once you get to 5+ Hellions, it's extremely good against lings, especially defensively with things like building walls and repair. It's a little bit baffling to see that many lings get made, and definitely Reynor is not as ahead as he was for the majority of last game, where pretty much anything Innovation tried to do was snuffed out. 3rd base is going to go down here for Eno. Reynor is up 1-0 in this best of 3. Reynor does have lings on Eno's 3rd. A lot of times I like to shift click 1 ling out of each of my control groups and put them on each 3rd. Hellions are out here. It's about a half dozen. Queens are up. We've seen Innovation's willingness to run in the mineral line. It looks like he might go for Hellion drop. Now, good Terran players are actually less willing to run in Hellions and trade them off. Now, obviously, if you want to, you want to trade like 4 Hellions for 10 drones or whatever, but the wall off is not quite complete, although Reynor does not get to sneak in there. He does see stuff, though. So the point that I'm trying to make is this. If you can get a ling on both of your opponent's expansions, you're guaranteed to see a 3rd come down. And Terrans will often just make their 3rd in their main and float it right here. I feel like this is the less common 3rd. But with the CC here, more likely to be out here. Banshee on patrol in the middle of the map. This is nice. People don't use patrol enough. This is just going to keep an eye out for any aggression that's going to occur. +1/+1 starting up for each player. Now, because of the 2 racks, the +1s on each side is very delayed. Stim about finishes here. Let's see how quick Eno does his next upgrade. Going for a bit of a Hellion drop here. Usually with the Hellion drop, it's a play to get the Hellions in the main. Nice elevator abuse here. But you have to be careful when your medevac has 48 HP. And the medevac actually fails. To pick up Hellions. And trading lings for Hellions, good for the Zerg player. Double drop coming here for Eno, 2 of them with mines. So this is where Innovation really starts to hit his stride whenever he starts to do drop harass. Now, usually the best part of Innovation is when he does this in conjunction with ground-based aggression. And we can see he's going to try to fly around the bottom part of the map. Thankfully, this creep tumor is a lifesaver for Reynor. Having drops occur in your base and not knowing they're there until the Terran stims and obliterates you is really difficult. But here we see he has complete vision of his base. One of the mines is going to burrow here. Slow Banes are out, and Eno's just going to say, okay, I'm leaving. And with a gaggle of queens here at the bottom, it makes Innovation's attempts to pressure this main via drops very difficult. We can see here the upgrades are about to finish across the board. Nothing is really going to be relevant as all the stuff is pretty much finishing at the same time. Only thing you need to look for is Baneling speed. Innovation should have the advantage until that upgrade finishes. Transfuse going down. Remember, Transfuse was nerfed. Innovation doing some stutter step Bane microfire. Beautiful stuff there as he virtually picks off 6 Banelings for free. And this is the sort of stuff I'm talking about. Without Baneling speed, the exceptional Terran player, the Innovations, the Marus of the world, they're going to be able to just obliterate your Banelings and make you have very bad engagements. 2-2 on the way with Drilling Claws. Double medevac production as well as mine production for Eno. I love to see this. When Innovation was at his peak in 2013 when Heart of the Swarm came out and he played Soul Key in the GSL finals, This was the exact play style that made Innovation unbeatable. Bio-mine, heavy drop play. Now with this much creep and in this metagame, the parade push where you just rally everything at the Zerg is not as powerful. However, the bio-mine style is still very, very crushing versus Ling-based aggression, because all you need is a couple big hits to really do game-ending damage a lot of the time. If you get good hits on Banes, that is. And maybe not game-ending damage, but damage that's guaranteed to really affect the game. Some Ling aggression going over here at the third. This is one thing I have noticed in Reynor's play, as he does a little drop up into the main. And Hydras are out here, so Reynor suddenly is not able to be picked on with drops. Something I've noticed in Reynor's play, he does a lot of Ling counter-harassment around the third. This is something that makes him very difficult to play against whenever you're going for parade-style pushes, because counter-attacks are one of the ways you deal with pushes like that. The Banshee's still out here. Inno did manage to save it. Zerg player is opening up the middle of the map. Reynor's creep spread has been pretty good considering Inno has been attacking it so frequently. Inno's going to move out here with the ground army. He has a hefty 70 SCVs, 2-2's almost done, but his army's pretty small. And he's going to burrow mines. The mines are going to kill some Banes, but he has, you know, 2 medevacs full of bio basically against a big Zerg army. Reynor's up about 21 supply. 2-2 finishes. Inno really missed his window because he just didn't have enough units to press his advantage in any way. Let's watch the Inno cam for a second.
Upgrade complete.
So we can see that Innovation's using the Drilling Claw upgrades to run in mines aggressively and get them burrowed quickly for guaranteed damage. Notice Inno killed 14 drones with that pressure. Remember, Drilling Claws make it where mines burrow faster and they're invisible after they're burrowed. So that's one of the advantages of using these mine drop plays, as it suddenly becomes almost like DT. Zerg's not expecting, oh okay, I'm going to need detection 15 minutes in the game in my mineral lines. No, if you didn't do a Banshee opener, you aren't going to see that. PF coming up, Inno really has to defend, but this time he has a hefty amount of bio. Reynor is forced to retreat. Some Banes do come up. He might turn on Inno's ass when this creep hits. Inno stems forward, starts to mow down the tumors. Big Ling flood coming out here. Now, knowing Reynor, this could be a counterattack. It also could be a flank. These rocks would probably be dead if it was a flank. It is just an attack on the third. And as the Terran player gets aggressed upon his third, he's forced to push bot side. Beautiful Bane fire here. Mines go down. They get some okay hits. A whole mineral line for the Terran player going down. And they shouldn't kill any bio here, these Banelings off of creep. Inno doing another good drop after losing his mineral line. Aggression occurring at the third base. The Queen throwing down a transfuzzle. And Inno picks up into the main as he pressures the fourth on the ground. Ooh, and he takes a Bane hit there for the first time in a while. Focuses the last couple Banes. And Zerg, it always looks like he's going to be able to push Terran back. But a lot of times it comes down to Zerg being off of creep and not being able to use Banes. Mines go off here, and they do pretty much exclusively friendly fire. So essentially what Inno's looking to do is consistently pressure this bottom 5th base or 4th base or whatever you want to call it. I guess it'd be the 5th. Meanwhile, he presses the main base. Now, his spawning pool was forced to be remade. Innovation continuing to push bot side. Adrenal glands coming. Air attack upgrades as well as Carapace coming, and another Ling counterattack here. And this is the difference between playing against your average Zerg player and playing against a top tier Zerg, is this stuff. And Innovation continues to push. The mines are getting okay hits, but mines are really good against Mutiling Baneling, because Mutiling Baneling really has to run in on people, whereas Hydras, obviously they're ranged units, so they're way better against mines. And Innovation's going to lose another dozen SCVs. These counterattacks that Reynor keeps using as you see a drop occur in the top, this is to take advantage of the typical Terran player mindset of the way that I win games is constantly putting pressure on my opponent and rallying everything I have out at them to keep the pressure on. Now Reynor has realized that pretty much all Terran players think like this, and this is a very powerful strategy. It's an intelligent way to think in some regards, because it worked for Terrans for so long. And mines are going to come out here. Bio, same deal. Inno's going to stem and pressure, and then when Banes come, run off of creep. And the Lings are actually going to run across as they were completely neutralized by that wall. Again, some Banes die, but not all. Inno's army is pretty damn small here, as without SCVs, he's having trouble producing a death army and really getting the advantage he needs, even with a small upgrade lead. He's continuing to walk back, but see, there's just so many Hydras where it doesn't even matter. Now again, Inno can't clean up the army because it's off creep, but Inno is basically pushed all the way back. And see, this base is going to die. Inno does cut down some Hydras for his trouble, and that's nice. But with Corruptors out, the Medivacs are going to get into an untenable position. Inno intelligently set up mines to prevent himself from dying to counters. Keeps pushing this 5th, and he's pressuring, finally going to get it. 3-3 Bio Marauders absolutely ripped through that. Another Ling counterattack occurs, but when you're on this many bases, sometimes what happens is when you do Ling counterattacks, the Terran's producing so much shit where you just counterattack into their production cycle. And even though a lot of SCVs died, that's what happened. Now Bio's going to stem up here and do a lot of damage. Drones are being pulled, Broodlords are out, as the Corruptors weren't going to be used for the Medivacs, they're going to be used for Broodlords. And with Broodlords out, it's actually going to be tough for Innovation to close out this game. Even though a lot of drones have gone down, 24, this corner base is still up, and Inno's just going to focus the hatch. Brilliant move. So let's just take stock of what's happened. Inno has restarted that bottom right base. The Zerg player is expanding upwards in the top left. Now how this should play out is Inno should just drop and pressure this base while he continues to push towards the bottom. Or he should just dedicate everything to ground pushing the top and then drop the bottom. But as it stands, it's going to be hard for the Zerg player because Inno's going to be pushing top, and before Inno is pushing here, and if the Zerg player want to fight, he could pressure this base or this base. And Inno's going to stem forward here, put the pressure on Reynor. Now it's hard to close games whenever the person you're playing against has Broodlords, especially when you don't make Vikings. Inno does scout this base. Very important. I don't think he actually knew before. Notice the sensor tower is up to scout for counterattacks, but if this is your answer and not leaving any units behind, then the Zerg is just going to run in. Like if it takes until here to see there's Lings coming, the Lings are here in 2 seconds. So you know really needed like a couple mines here and a couple here. He had the here for a while though. A drop is going to be halfway killed and picked up. More Bio, just aggressing and keeping the Zerg, always having to defend. This is part of why TvZ is so great. These two have been slugging it out for like the past 20 straight minutes. Also, this is why you leave mines at a spot that you know is going to be counterattacked. Zerg players who play this style are always going to be very likely to continue to aggress upon the same spots once it works one time. Inno should just permanently leave like 6 mines over here. Or shit, like build a bunker here. You know, you can't be in this mindset of, okay, I'm going to keep just using everything. But sometimes when you do that, you get armies this size, and then you can just stem through everything like Inno's doing. Notice he doesn't burrow a lot of the mines because he doesn't want friendly fire on the Broodlords. A huge fungal comes out, my lord. But with a medevac for virtually every bio unit, the fungal wasn't as crushing as you would think. With Broodlords coming out and free units, self-splashing Terran, essentially Innovation gave away about half of his army for not much. But this is why Terran versus Zerg is so good for Terrans who can multitask. Innovation ran right up into a ramp, into fungal growth, into Broodlords, but because he was aggressing upon another base, he's still going to win overall. With this base and mules to use, Innovation is in a position where he doesn't mind trading bio for bases. Terrans love that. Running around with Marauders, sniping bases, that's the bread and butter of TvZ. Back in Wings of Liberty, goes to late game, the Zerg has Broodlords, just snipe their shit with Marauders before they can do anything. And are we going to see that? A huge fungal goes off, and yes. Notice if you had quick, diligent eyes, Innovation had an attack move command on the hatch, and he had a shift click to retreat as soon as it was killed. Let's take stock for Reynor. This base, gone. This base, gone. This base is about to be oversaturated. And this base is being long distance mined. For Inno, live and kickin', although low, live and kickin'. And Zerg is sort of in this odd position where none of the bases they can take are actually defendable at this point in the game. More mines coming. Oh, I love this. This could be big. And it just kills an Overseer. Little sloppy burrow there from Inno. But he was microing this army. He's seeing what he can do. Notice he pressed this side to make sure the Broodlords and Infestors were down there. Greater Spire sort of exposed up in the middle. He's trying to run the mines under the Broodlords. Doesn't want the mines just to splash on the Broodlings onto his own army. Now, one thing Inno doesn't mind is if like the Broodlings all come out and a mine comes and kills them all. But because the Broodlings get to your armies so quickly, it's just not really going to happen without you self-splashing. Same scenario here. Innovation looking to pressure bases, trying to keep his opponent zoned with mines, but with not very many units, with just one medevac full of stuff and a couple mines, it's not going to work. But as I've said before, the drop play isn't to, okay, I'm going to win the game with the drop. It's to set up the aggression on the other side of the map. Greater Spire goes down. 2 Vikings are coming. This is just looking dreadful for our Italian Zerg. Inno's taking another base. And the Broodlords here, they've defended. You know, they've defended this little area, but Broodlords aren't good at running up here and defending and running down here and defending. Broodlords are way better at, okay, I'm going to run right here and force you to fight where you don't want to and then fungal you to shit with my Infestors. Inno's doing the perfect job. Notice that whenever Inno saw Broodlords, he didn't panic and like make 3 starports and sit on his laurels for 10 minutes. No. He just turned up the aggression to 11 and made more of a diligent effort to multitask, as he added in Vikings. This kept Reynor on the back foot and kept the Innovation, the Korean Terran Innovation, out of the power trough. Innovation's going to stem up here, maybe hoping the fungal growth isn't going to be used, but it is. But there aren't many Infestors, huge friendly fire, and that's what I was talking about. Virtually all of Inno's units going to red, but when you have this many medevacs, you know, they just heal. All of the bio units pretty much get 1-to-1 healing, and it's very good. Marauders are going to probably clean up the Hydras. The infested Terrans were thrown out here out of desperation. Innovation is just continuing to hammer down on Reynor. The game should be called pretty quick here. Reynor has run out of steam completely. He just can't defend, and if we look at upgrades, Reynor was never able to get that +3 weapons, and he GG's. Subscribe, like, comment, don't miss the final game.